A magnitude 5.7 just struck Nias, Indonesia. 18 kilometers deep. 269 kilometers from the exact location where 227,000 people died in 2004. Here's what USGS and BMKG detected, and what it means for what comes next. The shaking hit at 3:06 in the morning local time. People in La Hewa, a coastal town of 4,500, woke to moderate shaking. In Gunung Sitoli, the island's largest city, home to 136,700 people, buildings swayed. Even residents in Singkil, 149 kilometers away on the Sumatran mainland, felt the ground move. BMKG, Indonesia's National Meteorology and Geophysics Agency, was the first to report it, 4 minutes after the quake struck. This is the Sunda megathrust, the same fault system that produced the Boxing Day disaster. The same fault that killed more people in a single day than any other earthquake in recorded history. USGS confirms this zone has ruptured in major events in 2004, 2005, 2007, and 2009. The question seismologists keep asking hasn't changed. When does the next large one come? The quake struck on April 18, 2026, at 20:06 UTC. That's 3:06 in the morning in Indonesia. Most people were asleep. The epicenter sat 16 kilometers from the town of La Hewa, in North Nias Regency, at a depth of just 18 kilometers. That depth matters. Shallow earthquakes, anything under 70 kilometers, transfer more energy to the surface. The closer to the crust, the harder the ground shakes. At 18 kilometers, this quake punched upward with maximum efficiency. USGS shake map data shows the strongest shaking reached intensity 6 on the modified Mercalli scale. That means strong shaking. Objects fall off shelves, plaster cracks. Older, unreinforced buildings take damage. In La Hewa, residents 28 kilometers from the epicenter absorbed moderate shaking. In Gunung Sitoli, 62 kilometers out, it was lighter, but clearly felt. Teluk Dalam, another 40 kilometers south, registered shaking 104 kilometers from the epicenter. BMKG confirmed the magnitude and depth within 4 minutes of the event. That speed reflects a warning system Indonesia didn't have in 2004. USGS classified this event as green alert, the lowest risk level, a 90.4% probability of no direct fatalities. But USGS also flagged what makes this region different from most. The dominant building types on Nias are unreinforced brick and precast concrete, the structures most vulnerable to seismic shaking. And that wasn't even the most significant number in today's data. 269 kilometers. That's the distance between today's epicenter and the spot where, on December 26, 2004, the ground ruptured across 1,300 kilometers of fault. The same fault system, the same tectonic collision zone, a different segment, the same machine. And that history on this island is brutal. 3 months after the Boxing Day tsunami, on March 28, 2005, an M5.7 earthquake struck directly off Nias, not 269 kilometers away, directly off the coast. USGS records confirm at least 915 people were killed. 30% of buildings in Gunung Sitoli collapsed overnight. The airstrip was damaged so badly planes couldn't land. Relief had to come by helicopter. That was a separate rupture of the same fault. USGS geologists confirmed the 2005 quake ruptured a different segment of the Sunda megathrust than 2004, but they also confirmed it was most likely triggered by stress changes from the 2004 event. One earthquake loaded stress onto the next. That's what makes this fault different from most systems. It doesn't just rupture once, it ruptures in sequences. 2004, 2005, 2007, 2009. Each event shifted pressure somewhere else along the fault. Today's M5.7 is not in the same category as those events, but it is on the same fault. And it is a reminder that this system never fully rests. The immediate impact zone covers Nias Island and the North Sumatra coast. La Hewa, 24,500 residents, 28 kilometers out, absorbed the strongest shaking this morning. Gunung Sitoli, the island capital with 136,700 people, felt it clearly at 62 kilometers. Teluk Dalam, on Nias's southern end, registered shaking 104 kilometers away. Singkil, a coastal city of 46,800 on the Sumatran mainland, felt it 149 kilometers out. For a regular person in La Hewa at 3 a.m., this meant waking to the floor moving, walls groaning, objects sliding off counters, running outside, not knowing if it would stop. USGS estimates a 9.1% chance of between 1 and 10 fatalities. That may sound low, but it reflects the reality of unreinforced concrete structures on a shallow 5.7. Not every event kills, but every shallow quake in this zone demands to be taken seriously. No tsunami warning was issued. BMKG confirmed the earthquake was not strong enough to generate a destructive wave. Coastal residents were not ordered to evacuate. But that split-second decision, whether to run for high ground after the shaking starts, is exactly what this region trains for. In 2004, those who ran for high ground lived. Those who waited for confirmation often didn't. Here's the bigger picture, and why this location keeps showing up in seismological research. The Sunda megathrust runs for more than 5,500 kilometers along the western edge of Sumatra and Java. It's where the Indo-Australian Plate grinds beneath the Sunda Plate. That convergence, roughly 6 centimeters per year, generates the energy behind some of the most powerful earthquakes ever recorded. NOAA's Tsunami Research Center documented the 2004 rupture as traveling across 1,300 kilometers of fault in a single event. The shaking lasted at least 10 minutes. The entire planet vibrated by up to 10 millimeters. Seismic waves were detected as far away as Oklahoma. The earthquake changed Earth's rotation. Tsunami waves reaching 51 meters, 167 feet, struck the Aceh coastline within 20 minutes. 227,198 people were dead within hours, across 14 countries. 1.7 million displaced. That is what this fault is capable of. Now here's what researchers have been watching since then. Since 2004, the Sunda megathrust has ruptured in multiple large segments. 2004, the northern section off Aceh. 2005, directly off Nias. 2007, the Mentawai segment, further south. 2009, another major event. Each rupture transferred stress to neighboring sections. Some researchers at institutions including GFZ Potsdam have noted that certain sections of the Sunda megathrust, particularly the Mentawai Gap off central Sumatra, have not fully ruptured since 1797 and 1833. The last great earthquakes in that section had estimated magnitudes of 8.7 to 9.1. That section of fault has been building stress for nearly 200 years. Let that land for a moment. Today's M5.7 near Nias is not on the Mentawai segment, but it is on the same interconnected system. USGS seismological data confirms moderate earthquakes in this zone are normal and expected. Indonesia registers a significant earthquake roughly every 4 hours. Most are small, most cause no damage. But the pattern matters. Every moderate event is a reminder that the Sunda megathrust is active, pressurized, and, in certain segments, overdue. USGS research on this region has highlighted what seismologists call a seismic gap, sections of fault that are locked and accumulating stress beyond their historical recurrence interval. This isn't an exact forecast. Earthquakes don't run on a schedule, but they do run on physics. Stress goes in, stress must come out. The only questions are where and when. Today, the ground near Nias released a small portion of that stress, a 5.7, shallow, felt by hundreds of thousands, but the machine underneath didn't stop. What happens in the next 24 to 72 hours? USGS and BMKG will continue updating seismic data in near real time. The highest immediate priority is aftershock monitoring. After a shallow M5.7, USGS probabilistic models typically project multiple aftershocks in the M3 to M5 range over the following 24 to 48 hours. Some will likely be felt in Lahewa and Gunung Sitoli. 3 concrete developments to watch. First, aftershock magnitude. If BMKG registers a follow-on event above M5.5 in this zone within the next 48 hours, that changes the threat picture. In roughly 6% of cases, a significant earthquake is later reclassified as a foreshock to a larger event. That possibility has not been ruled out. USGS will be tracking the seismic sequence closely. Second, damage assessments. Lahewa is the closest population center to today's epicenter. Local government teams in North Nias Regency will be conducting structural assessments through Sunday morning. USGS Shake Alert data will guide which areas need priority inspection. Third, the Tsunami Buoy Network. BMKG operates a real-time network of tsunami detection systems across Indonesian waters. Today's event didn't trigger a warning, But those sensors are one of the first indicators scientists watch after any shallow underwater quake in this region. If buoy readings show unusual wave activity in the hours ahead, alert status changes immediately. Best case scenario. Today's M5.7 is a standalone event. Aftershocks stay below M5. No significant structural damage is confirmed. Life on Nias returns to normal within 24 hours. That is the most probable outcome, consistent with USGS's current green alert classification. Worst case scenario. USGS has formally identified the Sunda megathrust as capable of generating earthquakes up to M9 class. If today's event is a foreshock, a low probability but non-zero scenario, and a significantly larger rupture follows, the tsunami risk would be severe for coastal Sumatra, the Andaman Islands, and shores well beyond Indonesia. That scenario requires a rupture orders of magnitude larger than what struck this morning. USGS rates it as unlikely in the immediate term. But on a geological timeline, it is not a question of if, only when. The watch point right now is the next 48 hours. BMKG updates seismic data continuously. USGS will publish refined magnitude and depth analysis, and the people of Nias will be watching, as they have after every quake here for the past 21 years. 3 things to remember from today. An M5.7 struck Nias, Indonesia this morning, 18 kilometers deep, 269 kilometers from the 2004 Boxing Day epicenter. USGS issued a green alert, with a 90.4% probability of no direct fatalities. But this quake sits on the Sunda megathrust, the same fault that produced the deadliest tsunami in recorded history, and a system that seismologists have identified as still carrying significant unresolved stress. If you want to stay ahead of what's actually happening to this planet, subscribe. I post every time something significant hits. Coming next, there's a section of the Sunda megathrust off central Sumatra that hasn't fully ruptured since 1833. The stress it's holding could produce an earthquake larger than 2004. That video is on the screen right now. And if today's event got your attention, that one will hold it. Stay safe.